Today's guest, it's his second time coming in here, and man, this guy, he reminds me of like the incredible, he reminds me actually of a little bit like the dad from The Incredibles, I think. I was going to say Incredible Hulk, but he's more evolved than that. He is retired Navy SEAL, author, and host of the Jocko Podcast. My friend Jocko Willink.
Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my stories. Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my stories.
Yeah, that's the thing about a lobster, man, is really the travel cost. People don't think about that when they see them. Mm-hmm. People don't think about the travel costs that have gone into getting that bastard, running it back and forth. And dude, they have a new thing now where they'll have a skill crane, which is like, a thing the kids put the money in and they can, do the control, and you can get a lobster out. And you try to win the lobster like it's at...
For real?
Yeah. And it's usually at like a shitty bar or something. It's not even like...
For real?
Yeah. So I spent like $9. They went over to the airport. I spent about $9 trying to get a lobster. Yeah. And then here's the thing. I finally got one.
Oh,
I had to go.
Got one?
Yeah, I had to catch my flight. So I was like, fuck.
What'd you do with it? Throw it back in?
I had to throw it back in. Yeah. I was like, well, shit, I can't check this lob, bro. So, we got a couple different flavors now. This one's Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
This one you'll end up in blackface if you have too many cans.
You want to know why? Because it's really a pina colada.
Oh, really?
Like that's the flavor, but I can't, Jocko can't be calling something pina colada, right? Be a little bit.
Little shocked that you have,
little not what we're looking for.
Little shocked that you've already came out of the coladas.
You just call it Tropic Thunder and you're good.
Yeah, there you go. Do people, when they meet you, expect you to be kind of violent, do you feel like?
The funny thing is people meet me and they're like, you're a lot. I'm 5'11". People meet me, they're like, I thought you were a lot taller.
Really? It's such
so they think I'm taller because I'm only 5'11", and they think I'm going to be in black and white because I always take pictures in black and white. That's kind of a joke, but no, I mean, so that's what I think people. I think when they finally come up to me, I'm pretty laid back. You know? I'm not going crazy all the time.
Right.
Some of the time.
Yeah.
But not all the time.
Yeah. Do you feel like that whenever you started podcasting, really, because so many people love your show, do you feel like that in the beginning you were different than you are now? Like it's that you were more of an entertainer? Like, I'm just wondering what that journey's been like for you at all.
Honestly, no. I don't feel like I'm any different. I'm just doing the same kind of stuff I've always been doing. I've always been doing what I'm doing right now. It's just that now there's like a window to it for people to see what's going on and see it, kind of the life through my eyes.
Right.
And I don't. It's hard. You can't. You know the deal. You can't be someone else on a podcast for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of talking. You can't play a role. Eventually the real you is there. And so for me, I've just always kind of been. That's just me. That's just me.
Do you find as you get in a little bit? I know that Jocko doesn't age, but if you looked at a calendar, you've been alive longer than you were. Last time I saw you was maybe a year ago.
Something like that.
Yeah, you were one of our first guests, I think, actually, Nick, wasn't he?
He was very early on. It was over a year ago, but...
We were nervous, bro. I remember calling my insurance provider and just letting him know. I even sent him a picture, a screen grab.
Good call.
I said, this
guy's coming. If I make him angry, we don't know what's going to happen. Could be the end.
This guy's been drinking his own plasma, I think. Fuck, I forgot what I was even going to ask you, man. Oh, there you go.
That's what you were talking about, your memory. I was listening to your podcast today. You were talking about your memory failing quite a bit.
Yeah, I think this...
Oh, no, you were talking about your emotional memory. And that's why you keep making the same
mistakes all the time.
Emotional mistakes.
Yeah.
See, I think I have a good emotional memory.
Really?
Like locked.
Wow.
I remember what that feels like. I'm not doing that again.
See, fuck. For some reason, I forget. It's like that kid with the stove kind of. It's like, I just don't... It's just like, I found myself just running in the same circles. Recently I've been trying to get a little bit more into finding just motivation, because then at least I'm like active in each been trying to get more active into my day each day. So then at least I'm like not just like playing from behind all day. I don't feel like,
By active, do you mean like some kind of physical activity, or just mean more proactive in the way you approach your day?
Both, actually. So more physical activity, instead of just thinking like the second I think, okay, I should go for a gym, or I should go to the run, or I should, get an appointment for a trainer. I know you don't have a trainer, but
no.
I know. It's like, you couldn't even imagine some soft man yelling at you with a whistle, dude. But yeah, it's like I just go ahead and do it, and then just to try and approach just my day a little bit more like, just like, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah. I call that like going on offense. Instead of being on defense, you just go on offense. I'm gonna make some stuff happen. Thinking about doing this, and that's a good attitude. When you think about something, thinking about doing it, just go do it.
Yeah.
Don't even waste time thinking about even what you're gonna do at the gym. Just go to the gym. You can figure it out when you get there. Or your trainer can tell you.
Yeah, because my brain, man, it just, once it gets into my brain, that's where it's not good, It's like when I'm in action, that's when, everything will work out usually okay as long as I get my action going, So, for recently, it's just been just something that I guess I've been struggling with, is just finding that motivation. So, but now I feel like I'm getting a little bit more like, all right, let's just go, let's go, let's get in motion. And I know it, but sometimes it's like I'll have learned a lesson and then it'll just kind of fade away a little bit, and then I'll have to, or, the value, like the new practices I have in my life, sometimes they go by the wayside and it's like I have to kind of recalibrate.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people you can't sit around and wait until you're motivated to do something. Because if you sit around and wait until you're motivated to do something, who knows when that's going to come? It may come, but it may not come.
Yeah.
And it may only come twice a week. And if it's only coming twice a week, that's a lot less than you actually need. So you don't wait. You just put the discipline on. You put the discipline on.
Yeah. And
when you wake up, you go do what you're supposed to do. And the crazy thing is, speaking of emotional memory, when you get done, you're going to feel better. Like that's a guarantee. If you go to the gym and you get your workout in, or you do whatever thing you're supposed to do, it's a guarantee that when you get done, you're gonna feel better. So remember that emotion,
right?
And put that thing into play so that you can actually, get it done the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, I wonder why then sometimes like I'll know how to help myself, and sometimes I still don't want to.
That's the whole world, right? That's the whole world. Everyone, what are you going to, who wants to eat the broccoli instead of the Twinkie, right? People are like, oh, they're going to eat the Twinkie. Everybody knows that it's bad for them.
Yeah.
But they're just, what, you ever been to a 7-Eleven? You know what I mean? What do they sell there? They don't sell broccoli there.
Trouble, bro.
No, they just sell candy, straight sugar, mainlining sugar, corn syrup, get it in the veins.
Yeah.
And people that's all day. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're different. You're in the same boat as everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's a good point. Like that's the boat you have to get out of. It's not like if you're behaving that way that you've been sentenced to that. That's the baseline.
Yeah. Yeah. No different than everybody else.
Right. That's the baseline, is that, it's not like, fuck, man, I'm not making great decisions for myself. Most people aren't.
Yeah, most
That's
people
why there's
aren't.
a difference between when we do and when we don't, and kind of getting out of that. Really, it's like a slumber. I feel like it gets into once it starts to seep into one aspect of my life, it kind of starts to seep around,
Well, the good thing is when you put some discipline in your life, that seeps around too.
Yeah.
So when you start doing things right, you start doing more things right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's classic, right? You have one of those weekends where you're like, I think I'm just gonna order a pizza.
Oh,
well, then so you order that pizza, from wherever. Gray block? Is that what we're talking about? You order that gray block hitter, and you get the triple cheese, and you get the meat, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so then you just dive into that thing. And what does that do? Well, that kind of, you think, well, since I did that, I'm not even going to go for a run tonight.
Right.
'Cause I'm just going to kick back. And then, you just start going down that
I'm going to get
path.
ice cream. I'm going to do weed or something.
Yeah, and then
I'm not going to watch
you're
my
headed.
children. I'm not
Yes.
going to call my mom,
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep outside, You just like...
There you go. That's how you do it. So it's a little decisions. But when you say when you're like about to dial the number, and then you say, you know what? No, I'm just gonna make a salad right now and put a chicken in it, and just eat that clean. And then you get done with that, you say, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and get a little run done.
I'm gonna get a run in. I'm gonna clean my fucking car. I'm gonna clean
That's
those
what I'm
Tootsie
talking
Rolls
about.
out of my fucking back
So that's
seat.
what happens. So the little decisions, they build up. So the bad decisions build up. So that's what happens. Now, that's not an excuse to say, okay, now I'm going to make 28 bad decisions in a row.
Right.
What it is, it's an indicator. You say, I just made one bad. Okay, stop, reset. The pizza was good. Fine. Let's get back on the path. Let's do it now. That's a mistake that people make.
Yeah,
and by the way, that's a mistake that people can make for like 9 years.
I know, huh? People will get into that. Keep ordering that pie, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder, as especially, do you find as we get into more of like an automated, almost an automated humanity in a way, do you feel like it's becoming harder for people to make good choices for themselves? Or they're up against like greater evils, or do you ever have any thoughts like that, or it's still?
I suppose there's some of it. I mean, let's face it. It's a lot easier to order a pizza than it is to go out and huck a spear at a damn buffalo or whatever,
at a buffalo or a pepperoni.
Yeah.
Some banana peppers. Yeah.
So that's definitely a difference. And even today, I mean, you live in LA, I live in San Diego. You can pretty much get anything you want into your house in maybe 2 hours maximum.
Yeah.
So if there's some evil food that you want to eat, you can get it, and it's going to be delivered to your door. So even the resistance, some people are like, well, I'd really like to have,
but I'm not going to go get it.
Yeah, I'd really like to have a chocolate donut right now, but I don't want to go all the way to the store. So that maybe that saves some people. Now that savior's gone, bro, because now they're just on their phone and they got chocolate donuts stacking up at the front door, like you read about. So that could be a problem. Do you so if that's starting to occur, then there really is kind of becoming a line between if we're going to be strong enough to make choices for ourselves, or if we're gonna not, like, do you think that, or is that you think it's just still the same, and there's always been like, back in the day, maybe a duck would wander up to your door. You'd be like, oh, I'll never have any duck, and then a fucking mallard lands, on your welcome mat, and you're like, oh, Yeah, I think I think we're more aware now of the effects, the negative effects of this bad stuff, because let's face it, when I was a kid and I was thirsty, probably the same as you. When I was a kid and I told my mom, like, I'm thirsty, she'd be like, cool, there's Cokes in the fridge.
Yeah.
And I'd go drink 3 of them. Right? Like no factor. This was just what it was. Hey, I'm hungry. What am I going to eat? A Snickers bar.
Yeah.
They had some little motto. Snickers satisfies. That was the motto.
Satisfies.
So, hey,
Payday.
I'm hungry.
Remember Payday bar? It was a health bar.
Oh, it was a health bar. Yeah, I was like, hey, this is good for you. Which I didn't even really compute that because I was like, it's food, right? Food's good for you. So we're more aware. Like even I got one daughter that's only 10 years old, and she knows that she'll like look. Oh, there's a ton of sugar in this. She's 10 years old, so I think people are more aware. I mean, my parents. It wasn't them being bad parents,
right? It was just what was going on.
But it was just what was going on. The dang what were they called? Funny bones. Have you ever had a funny bone before? It was like chocolate cup. It was like
it up, Nick.
It was kind of like a Twinkie situation, but it was chocolate. It had chocolate draped over it, but then the inside was a creamy peanut butter filling.
Ooh,
so you could, and it wasn't no thing.
It sounds like the way I'd like to be buried. Actually,
yeah, it's not a bad deal. At least throwing a couple in there in a coffin. Boot, funny bones right there. Drake's. I couldn't remember that. Damn. So yeah, my mom would buy. Like they got the 10-pack right there. Yeah, my mom would buy like 3 of those and just be, hey, what are you gonna have for breakfast? A funny bone, maybe 3. So I think even though there's some things that make it easier to be less healthy nowadays, I think at least we're aware of it, and we're not mainlining Coca-Cola in the morning.
Yeah, I guess there is. I remember, and as kids we would make that sound after we drank it. It was like that was like a big thing. But yeah, getting a Coke was, and your parents had Diet Coke, and you thought that was crazy. Like what fucking creepy senior is sipping that shit? But yeah, it's like
I'm pretty sure I remember. I think I remember a world before Diet Coke. There was something called Tab.
Oh yeah,
remember
I've seen
Tab?
That. It was really had a very strange font on the can.
I think that was the first kind of diet soda.
Oh really?
Yeah, that I can remember. Because Coke was just Coke. There wasn't even anything else. It was just like, it wasn't Coke Light and Coke everything else. It was just Coke.
Yeah.
With 97 grams of corn syrup per shot.
Yeah. Coke, and they're supposed to refresh you. That's insane when you think about that.
Yeah. But that's how it was.
But yeah, I guess I wonder if there was any positives to it. I mean, sugar's such a killer. Sugar's how much sugar's in this?
0.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what tastes good? What's making your sweetness?
Yeah, because I feel a little bit heated up.
Is that there's something called monk fruit in it, which is
religious. No,
it's something not very religious. It's something like 87,000 times more sweet than sugar. Or something. I don't know what the numbers, but it's something like that. So it's super sweet.
3 times softer than cotton, you mean?
Yeah. But it's a fruit. And so we just put a little bit of that in there and it makes it taste sweet and it tastes natural. So yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty smooth. That. So they're all go. Is Jocko go?
Yeah.
And do your kids have to drink it or not?
Yeah, there's too much caffeine in it for a kid. There's 95 milligrams of caffeine in it.
Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah. So are you gonna go crazy now?
I don't want to join the ROTC or something this afternoon.
No, it's like the same as a cup of coffee.
Okay.
So
would you guys? Did you do ROTC when you were younger?
No.
Because I remember there was this group at our school. It was like ROTC, and there was
for sure.
Nobody told us first of all what it was, right? Which was a huge alarm. Because suddenly after school there would be these kids running around the school with wooden guns, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah. For me. I wasn't into that part of the military. I wasn't into thinking, hey, let's march around.
Yeah.
I was into the commando stuff. So what I actually got in trouble on the soccer team because I was leading runs and I was singing cadences. And I remember getting in trouble for, singing the cadence of Ho Chi Minh is a son of a bitch, which like, I was into that kind of thing.
Were y'all playing Ho Chi Minh?
No, we're not playing Ho Chi Minh.
You're like, oh, it's a goal. It's a goal, not a foxhole. You're like, everybody out of the goal.
Yeah. So but we didn't even have ROTC in my school. I grew up in a really small town in New England. I think there was 85 people in my graduating class or something like that. Yeah, it's really small. So was it more the leadership then I'm trying to figure out, like, kind of pinpoint what it was. And was it? Bro, do you remember when you were a little kid, like, pretending that a stick was a gun?
Oh yeah, G.I. Joe, all of that.
That's it, man. That's it. And that was just a real strong feeling for me. Every kid, that's all we did.
Yeah, most of the kids stopped doing that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't. And when people would look and say, "Oh,
you're fucking elbow crawling across the graduation stage."
People see somebody walking around with a briefcase when you're a little kid and be like, "Wow, that person, like, they're getting in a Cadillac. Like, whoa, that person's something like powerful, a banker or something."
Right.
And I'd never had that thought. I only thought, whoa, that guy's got a machine gun, or that guy's getting into a tank.
Yeah.
And that just was what I always wanted to do.
Wow. That's cool,
So
man.
as you said, I just never stopped.
Yeah. And here you are.
Mm-hmm.
We've had so many wonderful questions that came in. I just want to get into some of them because they'll lead us into some conversation stuff too.
Sounds like you're out of good questions.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not, but people had so many good ones, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
Do we look over there? Is that the deal?
Yeah, we'll just look over here.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Hey, guys. Jason here. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you for what you guys are doing. I do have a quick question, I guess, for both of you. I know in a podcast ago, you guys are talking about how you got to keep your emotions right and keep them under wraps, if you will. I'm doing my best. I'm currently at 440 pounds. I was just diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, which I stopped breathing like 64 times an hour, which is insane.
Jeez.
I got my little machine now, so I'm getting that right. Trying to get my eating right with the keto and the whole good thing, but I've had this peaks and valleys of how I've gone up and down with my weight, struggling with food. So I guess, it might be a good person to ask, how do I keep my emotions in check? Do I continue to make good decisions? And how can I actually make this work so I make a lifestyle change forever? All right. Thank you, guys. Gang. Have a good one.
Gang, bro. And a life. You want to be able to live, man. I can't imagine that, but you'd almost feel trapped, I think, at that weight.
Yeah. But I mean,
but motivated. It sounds motivated.
Yeah. It'd be real easy to think, hey, you're trapped at that weight, but man, he's alive. He's on the right path right now, you know?
Yeah.
And I would say, I always tell this to people, you can't let your emotions dictate what you're going to do. Well, it's kind of the conversation we just had. Because, I mean, if you think about it, motivation is really just an emotion, right? It's just an emotion. You feel really good and motivated. You can't let your emotions dictate your actions.
Yeah.
You got to let your logic dictate your actions. And, hey, it's not going to feel good every day. This morning, I didn't feel like working out. I was sore. I've been working out hard for the last few days. I did not feel like working out at all. And I went down there and I went through the motions. And you know what? You know, people say, you're just going through the motions. I was like, yes, I was. But that's better than not going through the motions because I got down there.
Right.
I did the work.
Right.
It wasn't the best workout I ever had. No records were broken. Nothing was crazy. But I went down there and did what I was supposed to do. There was no motivation involved whatsoever. Zero.
Right.
I was unmotivated. I was motivated to just snuggle into bed.
Yeah.
But no, you got to get up. So don't let your emotions dictate it. And peaks and valleys, guess what? That's what life is.
Yeah.
Life, you're gonna have times when you feel good. You're gonna have times when you feel bad, and you can't let those things be so broad span. So you can't let those peaks be so high and those valleys be so low that it throws you off course. When I feel down, it's like, okay, you know what? That's gonna pass.
Yeah.
And the way you make it pass is through action. It's what you just said.
Yeah.
You said, you know, when I get going, that's when I'm good. That's the same thing to Jason. Hey, Jason, if you're not feeling like it, you know what? Do what Theo does. Just stop the thinking about it, and just go and go for the walk. Get on the treadmill. Get whatever exercise you're going to start doing it. And the other thing is, look, man, this is a long war. This isn't a battle that you're going to fight 1 day, 2 days. You're in a campaign.
Yeah.
In a campaign, World War II, 4 years of combat to get where you want to go. Maybe 7 years, maybe 8. I don't know. But part of, you don't have to think, hey, if only I could be at the end. Man, enjoy where you're at right now.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy, but you know, you said, dang, trapped in, man, you're lucky. You're lucky. You know, I got friends that have been so severely wounded.
Yeah.
You know, they can't go for a run. They lost their legs, they lost their arms, they lost their vision, whatever. Hey, man, you're good to go. You're good to go. Go out.
Yeah.
And like you said, live.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's like you have to get moving. You know, you have to get, it's so funny, man, because that's one thing that I think in the past year that I've definitely had an easier time with is when I don't feel good. Even just recently, man, really starting to know at a real level, not just like hearing and hoping, but knowing that will pass. That how I'm feeling is not always real. Mm-hmm. Some of us are, you know, it's just like we just have maybe thicker emotions or deeper emotions. You might have bigger highs and bigger lows. But it's almost like nobody told us in the beginning, like, hey, how you feel isn't exactly what's going on sometimes. Like, yeah, you might feel like shit, but you just keep going, you know? And yeah, the unmotivation, it's funny. It's like when I'll go to the gym and stuff and I don't want to, or when I'll go for a run, once I get to about 8 minutes and you start to hit that sweat a little bit, about 7.5 minutes, that's when I I almost feel ashamed of myself sometimes for even feeling good a little bit. Because I was so set on like, oh, I'm going to have such a shitty, you know, I'm going to show myself, I'm going to have a shitty time, I'm going to have a shitty day. And then I'll get kind of moving and stuff and I'm like, fuck, man, I'm almost enjoying myself a little bit.
You know what I'm thinking about right now? Because people always ask, well, how did you get this way? You're like, to me.
Oh, yeah.
And as I'm sitting here thinking about it, one of the things that...
You obviously got bit by an American eagle.
No, think about this. So when I was in the SEAL teams, and as I moved through my career, I moved into leadership positions, right? Well, when I was in leadership positions, you can't be moping around. Because if your guys see you moping around or being negative, they're going to react. They're going to follow you, right? They're going to take the way your actions are. So at some point, pretty early, I realized, if I act like that, everyone's going to act like that. So I can't act like that. So if I don't feel like doing something, the last thing I'm going to do is say, hey guys, oh man, I don't feel like doing it. No, I would never let those words exit my mouth. And by the way, in the SEAL teams, that's kind of the way it is. You know, no one will admit to, I'm cold right now. You never hear someone say, hey, I'm cold. Can I borrow your jacket?
Yeah.
No, it's better to freeze. It's better to freeze, right?
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm tired. No one's going to say that. So that's where you realize, and so then when you power through it and you power through it over and over and over again, you realize, you know what, my emotions, as you said, they're not real.
Yeah.
They don't have to impact the way I'm actually going to act.
Yeah, Jason, that's a muscle. It really is a muscle. It's like it really is a muscle of breaking through that little barrier. It's so thin too, that barrier, if I'm not going to do this. It's crazy because it feels so heavy sometimes, but it's so thin, man. And it changes. It's like, and then the rest of my day is always better when I get going.
It's always better. I try and explain that to people all the time. Even though it sucks to leave your pillow in the morning, the rest of your day will absolutely be better. And you're right, that little barrier, the hardest part about the gym is going to the
getting
gym.
there.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
The hardest part about not eating whatever sort of crap is sitting in a bag of Cheetos is sitting there. If you just take and throw it away and just walk away, you'll be fine. You won't think about it. You're not going to be thinking about it for an hour, right? How long do you think if you just throw that bag of Cheetos away?
You're not going to be like in your journal.
You're not despondent.
Dear
for 3
Chester.
days.
Yeah.
You're just
sorry,
moving
but
on.
happened. Yeah.
You're just moving on.
Yeah.
So put yourself somewhere else. Throw the Cheetos as far as you can throw them and walk away. Walk away.
Yeah,
from
Jason.
the
And
Cheetos.
what's interesting is your life has set you up with the real. You've got a journey in front of you, kind of, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool to have.
You're at war.
Yes.
You have a mission.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Because a lot of life, sometimes it's just you're not finding your war. Sometimes, some of it is, some of that aimlessness. Sometimes, but you've got it, man. And I think that emotional part is just don't believe those feelings sometimes because we all have them. I mean, I think one of Jocko's skills, or one of his, skills besides being a beverage entrepreneur, is actually pretty fucking good. I'm starting to get scared. Yeah.
I got the recruiters inbound. You're going to the Marine Corps.
Dude, I'm afraid if I have one more sip, somebody's going to parachute in through the ceiling. But part of one of his things that he seems to have really mastered is not letting that first voice be the loudest, and having your own voice against that. Good luck, Jason, man. Maybe check in. Can we check back in with Jason maybe?
Absolutely.
And just see what's going on, because I would just even love to know, how you move forward, like what happens emotionally, no matter what direction you're kind of going in with your, with some of your choices, if, what's making you feel down or what's making you feel up, Mm-hmm. We had one question I know about tapping out. Do we have that one in here?
Yes, I do.
All right, I want to know from Jocko, and Theo, I love you, boy. You're my boy, Theo, but I want to know how quick he thinks he'd be able to tap you out. Just because I think it'd be kind of interesting. I think some other people would want to know too, but you're still my boy, Theo. I fucking love you, bro. But how quick do you think, how quick does Jocko think he'd be able to tap you out? And then also, do you think you'd be able to tap him out? Like if you did like bath salts or something? Because I know that shit has people feeling loopy, bro. That's my question.
Dang, man. That's a good question, dude.
Have you ever trained jiu-jitsu before?
I mean, I've trained, like I've had, I've chased like a small animal around the house,
Have you ever trained jiu-jitsu
No,
before?
I have not.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem. It wouldn't take very long.
Okay.
It wouldn't take very long.
What do you think, 2 or 3 minutes?
And this is the thing, man, I always try to explain to people, it's not because I'm a badass at all.
Right.
It's because I trained for a really long time. So what sport are you really good at?
Probably outdoor activities, probably.
That's not a sport, bro.
Sorry. Let me think about something. Probably basketball.
Okay, so let's say I never played basketball ever in my life.
Right.
And you and I played one-on-one.
Yeah.
Do you think I'd even score one single basket?
I bet you'd score 1 based on some of your abilities.
Okay, so one single basket and you beat me 11-1,
Yeah.
right? So in jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. I know the game. You don't know the game at all. And so it would be really easy. It'd be really easy, not just for me, but anyone that trained jiu-jitsu.
What do you think, 3-4 minutes probably?
To tap you out?
Yeah.
No.
What if I was wearing like a real slippery suit or something?
That might gain you a little bit of time, but we're talking sub 1 minute.
Oh, no way.
Unless you're, yeah.
What if it's windy out?
You've trained before.
I'm good in the wind.
You've trained before, though, right? You've trained jiu-jitsu, hasn't? Okay, then that's where that little hesitation, because that's what's amazing about it. Same thing when I first trained. I just graduated from SEAL training.
Jesus.
And I thought I was the man.
Yeah.
And I was 19 years old. I was, you just got done. It's the most elite training in the world and all this stuff.
At 19?
Yeah. And so this old Master Chief, like the oldest guy I'd ever seen.
Jesus.
He was probably like 40. Right?
Yeah.
So
remember how old was when you were young?
Yeah. I was looking at him like, Grandpa, you got like, nothing for me.
Who's this old fucker with a driver's license?
So he goes, who wants to learn how to fight? And I'm like, hey, me.
Yeah.
So he brings us on the mat, and just lined up, there's like 5 of us new guys. And he tapped us all out.
Damn.
With less than a minute each. And that's what it is. That's what jiu-jitsu is. That's why people talk about it a lot. Because when it first happens to you, you can't even believe it. So and immediately when you get tapped out for the first time, when you're 19 years old and you're like,
yeah,
I can take anybody.
Oh,
no, that's wrong, because I don't know. Yeah, exactly. You're just pouring shots of your own urine.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Wouldn't even
Theo,
give a fuck.
just getting after that urine.
Oh, dude. Yeah, dude. I'd have half a quart, bro. Who gives a shit? Bro, at 19-year-old piss is fucking, you know how much testosterone's in that shit, bro?
Actually, I do. Zero.
Yeah.
Bro. Zero. So
I don't know, bro.
Out, man. You missed out.
You got to get to the bottom. There's something
Theoretically,
down there.
I like where you're at, but you're not really there scientifically. So, yeah, that's what happens. You just don't know, and jiu-jitsu is a really powerful thing. And you should go train sometime.
I really want to go train, and I need to go train. I've been trying. What I've been focusing on this year.
You've been saying that for a while.
I know. Well, one of my fears is that I'm not flexible enough.
That has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with you not training. I have people that come to my gym that start jiu-jitsu when they're 52 years old.
Wow.
Or 43 years old or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can get in there and you can train. Be careful. You don't want to train with like some 19-year-old kid that's been training for like 6 months.
Right.
That's all crazy.
Right. That has nothing to lose.
Don't go with him, because he's gonna take your arm and put it on his wall at home and be like, "That's Theo Wild's arm." You see that one arm?
He's like, "Oh, I got that hitter.
I got his other arm." So watch out for that guy. But other than that, if you find some people that are gonna relax, it'd be cool. And yeah, you should definitely start training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
The thing you should do is stretch. I mean, I hope you're doing like some kind of stretching protocol. That's a no.
Yeah, that's a no. Yeah, that's a no. That started with a Y though. Yeah. It's a It's exactly. Yeah, I do know. But that's why I've been trying to get.
Because stretching is so unsatisfying.
Yeah,
I find it so unsatisfying. If there's the
Achilles heel.
The Achilles heel for me. Or just the thing that I really don't like doing, even though I know it's beneficial, is I don't like stretching a lot.
Yeah.
So, because you don't get done. Remember I said when you always feel better.
Yeah.
There's less of that feeling when I get done. I'm not walking around like, yo, I just got done stretching out.
Look how far I can fucking reach, boy.
I don't do that. So that's why stretching. But yeah, if you got a bad back, you should definitely, there's protocols you can do that'll definitely help your back out for sure. For sure.
Yeah. No, I think maybe it is time, man. I think I need some stuff that makes me feel, I think just that kind of, I think I could, recently I realized I need to put more things into my life that are just fun, exciting, just new adventures that keep me kind of like motivated and keep me doing things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes all I even do is just either podcast or just do stand-up comedy, and it's great, but it's not like sometimes adding to my experience.
Yeah. I love jiu-jitsu because you can always get better. You always get tangled up. You always get tapped out by somebody. It's always evolving. That's one of the things that makes it really cool, is just how much it evolves all the time. And you don't ever feel like, I got this. You never feel like that. You always feel like, I could get a little bit better.
Yeah, I like that. Here's a guy that has something to say.
Theo, Max from Mississippi.
Gang, bro.
Jocko, what was it like hunting for the first time with John Dudley, Cameron Haynes, Joe Rogan, and Andy Stump?
Yeah, man. Just got back from a hunt up in northern Utah, bow hunt. And, I mean, you couldn't really ask for a better crew of people. As you heard, he just rattled off.
Yeah, I don't know Mr. Dudley, but Haynes is very intense. He loves to hunt.
Yep. And Dudley's the same way. And then Rogan, he loves to hunt. And then Andy Stumpf, loves to hunt as well. It was my first time going bow hunting, and yeah, it was awesome. It was just awesome from the whole experience was awesome.
How nice was the place you guys went? Was it a nice place?
It was a nice place, and that's another thing. So just to clarify, and people, there's like, you know how that's in good, different parts of the world, or different things in the world, there's like a little subculture in there, right?
Oh yeah.
So like you're a comedian, and I'm sure there's people that are like, well, you know, you got such a good deal because you got to this thing, and people look down on these. So there's all that stuff. I didn't really know too much about it, but you know, I got the luck and the blessing of going on a really awesome hunt.
Okay.
It's something called private land.
Right.
Which means not everyone can go hunt there. Mm-hmm. So there's more animals than there is if you do something called a public hunt.
Right.
So public hunt is like you're out there and anybody can hunt there.
Right. Maybe there's animals, maybe there's not.
So
maybe there's somebody on drugs, maybe somebody's camping.
Yeah. So you might go out 4, 5, 8, 10 days. You might not even see an animal.
Yeah.
And the animal that you're hunting for. So I got really lucky, really blessed to be tied in with this group and go out there. And the hunt was awesome. The whole experience was awesome. There's something very primal, right, about going hunting. Kind of like for me, it's like jiu-jitsu. I always say there's something primal about doing jiu-jitsu, right? Like you're fighting. You know, when you were a little kid and you and your friends would just get sticks and put on helmets and just go to war with each other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we used to do, and that's what little boys do that, right?
Right.
So there's something primal and instinctive about just war.
Right.
Same thing with hunting. So you're out, you're stalking, you're sneaking around. It has a lot of correlations to my old job being in the Navy, where you're trying to be quiet. You're setting up tactics. You're trying to maneuver on these animals, just like you'd be maneuvering on the enemy.
You got a raccoon under a spotlight, and you're like, "Tell us what you know."
Where them elk at, boy?
Where's the recycling bin?
Yeah. So that was awesome, and you know, going up there, it was really nice for me because I'm very busy all the time. I always got stuff going on, and we got up there, and like the internet didn't even. It worked. Like there was one little hill you could go over where you'd get internet for 3 minutes, but because of that, I just said, you know, I'm just gonna shut this thing off. So it was really nice for me to be up there, and then you have one mission, you know, and that's what's cool about. That's one of the best things about my old job. You got one mission.
Wow.
Like, you go on deployment, you pack up your bags, you leave the world behind, and you have one mission, and that is to close with and destroy the enemy. Take care of your guys. That's what you're doing. So that's what my first experience of hunting was. Okay, I'm disconnected from the outer world, and I have one mission. So it was awesome.
Was it interesting? Because those are some big personalities. I mean, those are like a big, you know, that's a unique group that you're with.
Oh yeah, it's the thing is, I mean, all those guys are just great guys, man.
Yeah.
You know, I've known Joe Rogan for a while, and people, I'm sure people ask you, what's he really like?
Yeah.
What's he really like? Yeah, and it's like, he's like just exactly what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
He's super nice guy. Same thing with, Dudley has invested personally in, like, he wanted me to get into hunting, and he gave me a bow. And again, this is where it sounds crazy that I could be so lucky in my life that one of the best archery hunters in the world would say, hey, I want you to get into archery. Here's a bow. Let me teach you. Wow. Cam Haynes, you know Cam Haynes, same thing. He was super cool, debriefing me on stuff. And then my buddy Andy Stumpf, which, you know, Andy and I, we worked together a little bit in the SEAL teams, but, you know, I just, being out there with one other cool, SEAL, you know, we just have a connection that, you know, I you know, you can only have with that brotherhood. So, man, it was awesome. I look forward to doing it again. And for me, you know, you talked about getting in this new stuff. For me, it was totally new. I never shot a bow and arrow before, and then I had the opportunity to train and then go out and do it. So yeah, it was awesome. And I appreciate everyone that I just mentioned in that group. They're just great guys.
Was the experience, were you when you're getting direction like on something you've never done, how is that for you? Like coming from a place where it's like, you're used to having a good knowledge base of what's going on in your field. Or do you find yourself to be a pretty good student? Do you find yourself having a tough time being a student?
No, I'm all ears, man.
Yeah.
I have no problem. I have no problem at all saying, look, I have no idea. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do from the get-go. No problem at all with that.
How did you find the bow hunting? Was it pretty tricky, or did you find it was?
Yeah, no, it's definitely tricky.
How far could you shoot it? I could see you just fucking Uncle Rico and that bitch over the mountains. I can see you just being like, look how far, like Cupid.
A really good archer.
Like Cupid's been in an Anytime Fitness for a couple hundred years. I can see you just firing that thing.
Obviously, the better you are, the further range you can go. So, but I would say the average normal hunter's probably trying to go 50 something meters, something like that. Is around, that's me. But yeah, I'm trying to get, that's a little video of me trying to get tuned up before I head it out.
Regional collar.
And did you find, did you start to notice that you lost, is it a really fine line between like how accurate you can be and the amount of strength you're using and stuff like that?
It's not really a strength thing. It's technique, so you can't just like anything, man. Just like anything. I mean, jiu-jitsu is not about strength.
Right. It's perfectly what you're saying.
Have you ever been rock climbing before?
Oh, yeah.
Like rock climbing is so much technique.
So much.
And you think, because I can do, like for instance, I can do a lot of pull-ups. I do a lot of pull-ups.
I could see that.
And you think, you can just grab on the rocks and climb. No, bro. No. There's so much technique involved that you have to learn the technique, just like basketball, just like playing guitar. You have to practice, you have to learn the technique. And that's the same thing with archery. And you just have to do it over and over again. Like shooting a gun, you got to do it over and over again. You got to keep those reps in.
Did you find that as the week progressed, the time you guys were out there, that it got easier for you? And did you find you...
Well, we weren't shooting a bunch. We were patrolling through the woods, and that was cool. Again, I was out with John Dudley, who's a master hunter.
Wow.
And it's awesome because you're on patrol, and I keep calling it on patrol.
But
I suppose it's called we were hunting,
yeah.
we were walking. But for me, my mind, I was on patrol.
Oh hell yeah!
So it was good.
You're
it was
like, what's
awesome.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're like, that bison's from China. And you're like, I'm fucking shooting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, imagine sneaking a jingle bell out there with you. That would ruin everybody's vibe. Did you have to be real quiet?
Yeah. No, we weren't bringing jingle bells out there.
Even one, boy, will fucking shake the world up on a hunt.
No. Got to be careful of that.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I lost $11 last week playing gambling. But that's the good thing is, I laid a couple parlays, laid a few bets, and I did it on MyBookie. MyBookie, it's a place where, if you want to wager on, you like the Redskins, you think they're going to beat somebody. You wager on them, drop a wager. You think maybe the Orioles is going to beat the Clippers. Drop that wager, daddy. Regardless whether you've been betting for years or you're ready to just play for the first time even, MyBookie is your best bet this season. Between football season, the MLB playoffs, and the start of the NBA and NHL, it's time to get off the sidelines and get in on the action. If you really want to support your team, drop a couple dimes on them. Get in the game with MyBookie.ag. And if you join right now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. Yep, doubling. Use promo code Theo, Theo, to activate that offer. That's promo code Theo to double your cash. Visit MyBookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. And I got to let you know that this past weekend is also brought to you by a company called Skillshare. And everybody, I used to have skills, man. I remember I could hold my breath until I passed out. And then I'd wake up, in my friend's van. Everybody has different skills, man. And Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. Chefing, recipe work, painting, carpentry. You'll discover countless ways to fuel your curiosity, creativity, and career. They have classes in social media marketing, mobile photography, and creative writing. You want to learn graphic design? Then you can take Graphic Design Basics, Core Principles for Visual Design, one of the most popular courses. Join the millions of students already using Skillshare today. Our listeners can get 2 months of Skillshare for free. That's right, Skillshare is offering TPW listeners 2 months of unlimited access to over 25,000 classes for free. Go to Skillshare.com/Theo Von. Again, go to Skillshare.com/Theo Von to start your 2 months now. That's Skillshare.com/Theo Von. What else we got, Nick?
So we had Jocko give some advice to Will.
Yes.
He was a 22-year-old who knocked up his 19-year-old girlfriend, and he felt like he ruined her life. And he actually had the baby at the end of August, and we were going to call and check in with Will, assuming.
Yeah, because we played a good video, and you gave him some good suggestions and stuff. We just wanted to check in with him. We thought it would be just kind of a neat moment for him.
For sure.
Okay, cool. We're going to call him right now then.
Oh, we're calling Will.
I'm going to introduce you guys. Unless he's at work. Hopefully he has a job.
He got off at 5. East Coast time.
He's in traffic.
He probably is. With that baby probably crying. Where's Dad?
Hello?
Hey, Will.
Hey, Will.
How's it going?
What's up, man? This is Theo. How are you?
Hi, Theo. How are you? Sorry, there's a baby screaming in the background. I got a rocker. This isn't scream.
Yeah, you got that O-spring rocking back there, huh? You got that plebe, I think they call them. Dude, I just wanted to say thanks for reaching out a while back. I know you were thinking that you were you had the kid on the way, and we had Jocko Willink.
Yeah.
We had him offer up a video of some suggestions and stuff, and then I have Jocko here in the studio.
That, yeah.
So I just wanted to just kind of follow up and see how fatherhood's going for you. And Jocko's got a couple of enlistees that have come out of his own scrotum, I guess, to say the least.
Yeah. I'll let my daughters know.
Yeah.
Sorry. How's it going over there?
Out Jocko.
What's up, man?
It's going good, man. What's up, Jocko? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How about you?
I'm good. First of all, I just want to say thanks for calling Theo. Thanks for calling Jocko. I'm really nervous to do this.
Dude, I'm nervous too, bro. You don't have to. At least you don't have to sit by Jocko, bro. It's extremely fucking nerve-wracking, bro. It's like being in every high school class you've ever been in, all at once, forever, and the teacher just wants to strangle you.
Dude, I was looking at his Instagram yesterday, and I was nervous. So.
It's very scary, dude.
I mean, I feel you.
I gained 2 pounds of muscle mass looking at his Instagram a couple of weeks ago. But no, Jocko,
man,
wanted to know how's it going?
It's going really good. It's really rewarding. I mean, I'm loving it. She's my world. So, I mean, obviously, I'm very nervous to do this. So you might have to ask me more questions to get me going.
Are you getting any sleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting plenty of sleep. I mean, I think people make being a father or a parent out to be way harder than it actually is.
I like it.
So far it's been easy. I mean, like, it's just a baby. There's like, all you really do is you cuddle with her, you feed her, change her diaper, and that's it. You just make sure she doesn't die. Give her some love.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're keeping her alive, so we got that going for us, which is nice.
Start. Yeah, I got proof right here.
What were some of your fears like, and have some of your fears gone away since the baby's come into the world? Like, what's some of that experience been like?
Oh, absolutely. Before, I was just really worried about, I don't know, just providing for her and just being a good dad, because, like I said in the original call, like, my dad wasn't there. Like, I was afraid maybe when I met her that I would be just like him and just get out of her life. But I always had this feeling that, like, I could be a good dad, but I just wasn't sure. So, I mean, after having her, it's super easy. It feels super natural, and I don't know. I mean, my fears have kind of gone away entirely, honestly. Like, everything is so much better.
Well, that's like many things in life. We build up the fears in our own head. And once we actually get put in the position, you realize, hey, there's not that much to be afraid of. And you can proceed on and keep doing a great job, man. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful, man, to think that, you know, that your life was, or your childhood, some of it has been one way, and then to think that you are going to have a new experience with your own kid. It's real powerful to hear that, I feel like.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I think you should have one, Theo. I think you should have a kid because,
oh, Jesus,
man.
I probably should.
This shit's so easy, dude. You just think about taking care of a plant. That's taking care of a kid. Buy an orchid.
Okay. I'll buy an orchid with a strong heartbeat and see how it plays out.
Yeah, same thing.
Yep. Nick has a question for you, Will. Nick?
So you were worried about the implications for your girlfriend. You said she had a bright future in front of her. Either she was in law school or medical school. Have you kind of made a plan where she can continue on and down that path? Do you have that figured out?
Yeah, so originally she was going to UMass Amherst.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she was
dude.
on track to,
a lot of chicks put out over there, too. I'll tell you, that's the truth, bro.
Obviously.
Oh, dude, yeah, bro.
Easy.
Sorry, not her. I'm not her, obviously, you know. But
Well, she's the one with the baby.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I mean, so you're kind of digging a hole here, bro.
Never mind. Why don't you guys finish this question and answer? Sorry. Yeah, how are you feeling about, the concerns you had for your baby mama?
Well, obviously, that was my second main concern behind the baby. Like, I just kind of felt like I ruined her life. Like, you get someone pregnant, and they have all these big things coming ahead. But, yeah, we made plans. Like, she's starting nursing. Obviously, it's not med school. But she did have to drop out of UMass to go to a local community college, which it still bothers me. But, you know, we're really happy. So I think everything just kind of fell into place, and we're making plans. Like, she's doing nursing. I'm finishing up my degree. It's just, I mean,
it's cool,
I still feel bad about it, but it worked out.
Yeah, it sounds like it's working positively. Nursing is a great job, man. Having and plus she gets a couple credit hours probably for nursing that baby. You know what I'm saying, bro? Blowing milk into that little monkey. Dude, we should send him some of this. 100%. You want to, Jocko?
Yeah, we definitely should.
Jocko has a new drink out that you can nurse as well, so we'll send you some of it. It's actually really, really good, bro. This pineapple coconut, I might fucking relapse, dude.
What is it? Is it like caffeine, protein shake? What kind of thing?
There's some caffeine in it, yeah. It's like a little mind
nice.
blaster.
Yeah, I just got back into working out.
You can step it up.
Oh, yeah, we've seen you a little bit of this mind blaster, as Jocko called it. But, dude, that's awesome, man. It sounds exciting. It sounds like you're definitely more in a position of, what would you say?
Well, what's cool to me is, look, you have the vision of what the path of your life is going to be like, right? Everyone's got this vision of what it's going to be like. And the chances of you actually being able to stay on that path are next to none. And if every time you get pushed off the path a little bit, you just surrender, well, that's where you end up in a horrible place. But what you did, and you're setting a great example for other people, you and your girl have said, look, we had this path laid out. Oh, we just got pushed off the path big time.
Yeah.
But guess what? We're not surrendering. Yeah. We're just readjusting the path. We're taking a little detour. We're going to get back on eventually, but the journey is still awesome. So that's what life is about, man. Nothing comes easy. And you're going to look back and you're going to be able to tell your little girl, hey, this is what we did to bring you up, and these are the sacrifices we made, and it was worth every second. So what you're doing is awesome. What your girl's doing is awesome, and the end result will be infinitely better and more rewarding than it would have been had you just had everything served up to you on a silver platter like you had originally thought it would be.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Will, you obviously you haven't been listening to this whole episode because it's not even out yet. But Jocko and I have been sitting here for about 40 minutes talking about stuff, and a lot of it's been just how some of our behaviors, and even I struggle with this a lot, but how some of our behaviors, once we start to set some new good behaviors for ourselves, how it will influence the next behavior we do. So yeah, man.
Patterns.
Yeah. So the next thing that comes along for you, dude, I can't. After this, it's probably gonna be a damn cakewalk, bro. You're gonna have fucking, funny bones on your feet. You're gonna have sugar on your shoes, bro. This is gonna be a cakewalk. So it's exciting.
I heard this quote the other day. I think it was Bill Belichick. He was talking about something like, let's not just have a good day. Let's have a good week. Let's have a good month. And like just building those patterns and those steps. So that really spoke to me, and like everything Jocko is saying and what you're saying, like when Jocko was just speaking, I got the chills because like, damn man, like that's inspirational.
Very alarming.
I took a lot I took a lot of what he said the first time and just now, like it's pretty unbelievable when you reach out and you hear these things. So.
Well, it's funny, man, because I have some of the same fears in my own life of having children and that sort of thing. So it's all kind of full circle, dude. We're all out here just trying our best and stuff like that. But thanks so much for calling in, man. And yeah, dude, you'll definitely won't get any sleep after we send you a case of this Jocko's energy drink, bro.
Yeah, no, and I got.
Wait, Theo, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
How's quitting cigarettes going? You haven't really talked about it.
That's true, man. It's going pretty good. I've had half of a cigarette in 2 weeks. So.
Are you lying to me?
Nope. I'm not. And I feel.
Good man.
I feel pretty good, man.
Dude, you know what you should have had? You should have had a cigar with Bill Burr, because that dude was pissed.
Yeah, that dude, trust me, bro, he already burnt me at a couple of my ends, so I don't need it no more. Nothing else is getting lit up in this room, dude, after he smoked me when he was in here. I feel like a fucking salmon. What do you have for him, Jocko? Thanks so much, too, Will, for answering,
course,
man.
man.
And your daughter sounds beautiful.
Oh, dude, she is. I actually sent your producer her little Instagram. My girlfriend made an Instagram for her. So if you want to look at pictures of babies, then you got her. She's balding. She's got a mullet just like you.
Oh, she has a mullet? I'm in. I'm in, brother.
Dude, she's got I'll post a nice picture of her mullet. And dude, she might even be your kid. I don't know.
Whoa, bro.
Anything's possible.
Look, yeah.
Girls from Amherst or whatever.
That's true. You never know, man.
Hey, I wrote a bunch of kids. I wrote a bunch of kids books. I'll send you out some kids books for the little baby.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and actually, one of them says right on the front where there's a Will. It's pretty cool. Will, man, be good, dude. We'll check in. Oh yeah, there she is, right there, baby. Oh, she is pretty.
And she does have a mullet.
Eliana.
Yeah, a lot of babies very unattractive, but this baby, pretty hot. I mean, attractive
dude,
for baby.
You and producer Nick, dude. Producer Nick last night, he was loving pictures of her. I think he liked every single one on my Instagram.
Producer Nick's going to be obviously indicted soon.
I told Will I wasn't following back. He DM'd me from this baby's account. I was like, I'm not talking back.
Will, man, be good, dude. We'll send you some of this stuff, man, and we'll check in. We'll check in on you and baby Ileana.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for all you're doing. Thanks, Jocko.
No problem, brother.
All right.
Stay strong.
Cheers, brother.
Yep.
Man, that's pretty cool, huh?
That is awesome.
That's crazy because he called and he was like, he was like worried. And then you hear the baby in the background and you're like, that's a live grenade, bro.
You're scared, huh?
Yeah. I get pretty scared about that.
There's a lot of responsibilities. Is that what you're scared of, you think?
Let me think about it for a second until I can really feel what I'm scared about. I think I'm scared.
Or if you just not met the right girl.
I just don't know. I just don't know if I want my life to change that much sometimes if I'm ready.
How old are you?
39.
Cool.
You know, part of that, but then part of it, like, yeah, just think about what am I scared of, man? Because I just want to get it right because I think about it sometimes, like, yeah.
I mean, the look on your face when you heard that, your eyes got big.
Oh,
like you just went flashback.
Yeah, like somebody just made their own little Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Yeah, sometimes if I'm ready.
Yeah. Judging by the look on your face, my answer is negative. You need to give it a little bit more time.
Yeah, I think I want to be a good parent. I think sometimes I could use, and I don't know if this is a negative way to think about it, but I could use a child because sometimes I think it would give, because I like to care about other people, it would give me something to care about.
Plus, your dad was like 87 when he had you, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, I got all kinds of time. What are you talking about, Jocko? I'm over here on the slow roll. We'll make this happen when it happens. Yeah. No factor.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
so if I even see a girl,
it.
my dad was 38 years older. So if I see like a 9-month-old, even baby Ileana, I'm not hitting on her, but I do want to know what her work ethic is like, I want to know what kind of woman she is.
You see some potential down the line.
Yeah, I'm thinking down the line, broski. So that's pretty crazy. We have a couple of more good questions that came in.
Let's do it.
Hey, how's it going? This is Jace from Harriman, Utah. Hey, quick question for Jocko, by the way. It's my dog, Jocko. Named him after you. It's a cool name.
Handsome or
couldn't decide on anything else, so there you have it. Anyway, Jocko, from listening to your podcast and just some of the podcasts you've been on, it seems to me as if you may be a little bit emotionally detached, as well as very self-critical. I find these two traits in myself to be very prevalent. My question is, do you find that to be a benefit or a detriment in your life? Or on the personal side, I find it difficult sometimes to relate to my spouse, my kids, my friends, my family, because I just simply do not understand where they're coming from on an emotional level. So my question is, do you feel this way, or have you figured out the balance between the two? Any advice would be great. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for everything you do. Thanks.
That's a good question, huh?
This is a good question. Yeah. I definitely, and this sounds like I'm a crazy person or whatever, but I try and keep control over my emotions, as we've been talking about this whole time, right? Like, I'm not gonna fly off the handle. I don't yell at people. I don't get in big arguments with my wife. In fact, I don't really even argue with my wife,
Right.
Like, hey, if she's getting emotional about something, cool. I just like accept the emotions, try and absorb a little bit, and then figure out how I can de-escalate the situation. You know what I mean? Like, that seems to be the smart thing to do. I don't think I'm too emotionally detached. I mean, and if you listen to my podcast all the time, you can hear sometimes I get very emotional when I'm on there, because I'm having memories of my friends or things like that. And yeah, I'll get very emotional at times. I won't let it get out of control, you know, but so I don't think I'm too emotionally detached. And then the other thing is being self-critical. I'm definitely critical of myself, but I think I've found a good balance there. So what does that look like? I mean, how do we measure that? If you're just constantly beating yourself down, that is not positive. So what am I going to be self-critical? I will look at myself being so critical of myself that it's causing a negative reaction. You're being too self-critical. So balance it out a little bit. You got to live your life. So I always look at all these things, and same thing when you talk about not relating to your family or whatever. And I just told the guy this on Twitter. A guy's like, hey, I'm having a hard time relating with my family. I'm trying to get after it. I'm trying to, be my best. And they're not, they don't get it. And I'm like, hey, man, it's not about you. The world doesn't revolve around you.
Yeah.
You got a family? Cool. You need to adapt your life around your family. Here's something interesting that I said the other day. Like, I've written a bunch of books. Mm-hmm. I wrote probably 95% of the pages in all my books when every single person in my family was asleep. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't sit there and, hey, everyone leave me alone because I'm trying to do this. I work out in the morning. Guess what? No one's awake in my family when I'm working out in the morning.
No one's awake in the world.
So I sacrifice things so that I can be there and do what I got to do for my family. So
I see. So that's your journey.
That's
so your
right.
journey and what you're doing, they don't need to conflict.
Right. I don't demand that everyone is on board the same bus that I'm on board.
Yeah.
Hey, I get on the bus before I get on my bus. and then I drive where I'm going. And then when my my oldest daughter was a ballerina.
Jesus.
You know what that is?
Okay, yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah. That's not my thing, right? I'm not into that. I went to some damn recitals.
Oh, damn.
You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't.
How close were you? I could see you like 200 yards away with binoculars.
I can't make it to the recital. I got to work out tonight. I wasn't doing that. I was like, oh, cool. We're going to the recital. Let's watch the kids. And of course, I was a little bit critical sometimes because I'd be like, what did they learn?
Yeah.
How did that help? But you want something crazy?
Pirouette ain't gonna stop a fucking bullet.
Here's what's funny: my daughter that was a ballerina got more injuries. Do you know how psycho ballet is?
Insane.
She got more injuries from ballet than my other daughter did from wrestling and gymnastics. So it's a tough sport. It's a highly, and that's what I realized. I said, hey, you know what? She likes it. It's highly disciplined. They're super strict. She used to come home. I used to have to. You ever seen those things? Those like massage things that you roll out. It's like little rollers on a stick.
Yeah.
And she would come. She's like 12 years old. 12 years old. She'd be like, "Can you roll out my calves?" And she'd be sitting there with tears coming out. I'd be rolling those things out because that's what you're trying to prevent
and
the
now
injury.
She's 9 feet tall.
No,
if you were rolling out the calves, bro, she probably got 3 foot of calf on each foot. So like Charleston shoes going on down there below her knees.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I'm not making the world. This is the thing. The world is not about you.
Right. So you're not sacrificing the other things that you have to do and your other responsibilities.
Hey, occasionally, you know what I mean? Occasionally it's like, hey, maybe I don't need to watch 14 recitals in a row, right? Because, the kids will do the play or whatever, and they show it six nights. I'm not going to 6 nights.
No. Look, I'll be there at the Nutcracker Suite.
Right.
Holler when Father Drosselmeyer's in the building. Otherwise I'm out.
Exactly.
But I think do you think, though, that your mentality, because you have to have some elements of, you have to have, I think, probably more like than... do you think that it's tough sometimes to is it tough to manage? I think maybe, and I'm not saying that's not what he's asking you, but I'm just saying, like,
here's the thing.
What could he be struggling with,
He said it at the end. He said the word balance, right?
Right.
I wrote that book right there called The Dichotomy of Leadership. You have to balance all these different things in your life. So as a leader, right? As a leader, you gotta communicate with your people, obviously, right? Can you communicate too much with your people? Do you think you can?
Yes.
Oh, yes, you absolutely can.
Yeah, that's
where
what
they stop listening to you.
Yeah.
Can you communicate not enough? Yes, you can. Now they don't know what's going on.
Yes.
You got to be somewhere in the middle. Everyone looks at me and goes, "Oh, you're super hyper aggressive," right?
Yeah.
Do you have to be aggressive as a leader? Yeah, you do, because you got to make things happen. Can you be too aggressive? Oh, yes, you can.
Yes.
Can you be not aggressive enough? Oh, yes, you can. So where do you have to be? You have to be in the middle. You have to be in the middle. And so it's the same thing with your personal life. I talk about this all the time. If I'm okay, I wanna build my business, whatever it is. I want to do my job. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can make more money. If I make more money, I can provide for my family. So I'm doing this for my family. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to work 89 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Then you look up in 6 months, you look up in a year, you don't have a family anymore.
Right.
They don't know who you are. So you went too far. The other side of the spectrum is you're like, well, I can't do any overtime today because I gotta go to the recital and the practice recital. I won't be here tomorrow either. And now you look up in 6 months or a year and you don't have a job and you can't provide. So what do you have to do? You have to find the balance. You have to find the balance with how critical you are of yourself. You have to find the balance of how detached you're going to be. If you get too, he talked about being emotionally detached. Can you be too emotionally detached? Absolutely, you can. You looking at your kids like with a stone cold face all the time. They can't connect with you. Not just your kids. If you work for me, if we were in a SEAL platoon together, which I know is an unlikely scenario, but if we were in a SEAL platoon together and all I did was no connection, just said, hey, here's what the next mission is, go do it. After a while, you're like, this guy doesn't care about me.
Right.
So you're not going to want it. You're not going to put forth the extra effort. So one of the most important things that you have to do with the people you work with up and down the chain of command is form a relationship with them. Same thing with your family. If you're not forming a good relationship and maintaining a good relationship with your family, you're going to look up and you're not going to have a family anymore. And that's not good. So with everything that we're talking about in life, You have to maintain balance. You have to. When you get out of balance, and you'll feel it. You'll feel it. When you feel like, oh, my wife doesn't want me to go to jiu-jitsu again tonight. You don't have to think my wife doesn't ever want me to do jiu-jitsu again. You can say, oh, I have to ease back a little bit. Maybe if I'm going to go, I got to spend a little bit of extra time in the morning, or you got to find the balance. You don't have to go extreme one way or the other. And that's what a lot of people do. They go extreme in one direction, and then anyone that's in their way, they mow them down. And that is not, the long-term results of that is never good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think leadership as well is leading. You're leading. It's not just you. With leadership,
100%.
It's a group. Yeah, there's more than just you involved. And
in the long run, if you're, this is what's cool. So this is kind of weird. A guy asked me a little while ago. Mm-hmm. He says, he's a guy that we have a big event, a leadership event. We do it like 2 or 3 times a year, and people come. And this one guy, he helps us out with it. So I see him every time we do one of these. Really good guy. He's got his own business, really good guy. And he follows what I do. And he sees that I'm writing 14 books and 97 podcasts and all the stuff I'm doing. And he goes, I've been watching how much you do, how much you produce, just the raw production materials. He says, I don't understand how you have enough time for your family. Like, I don't get it. How do you do it? Or are you doing it well enough? And I was like, that's a good question. And I didn't have, usually I'm like prompt with answers because I get asked questions all day long like you do. And I said, you know what? Let me think about it. And I thought about it. And what I realized was, and I came back to him the next day and I said, I have an answer to your question. He says, well, what is it? And I said, my family at this point in time doesn't really need me that much. My wife is like really independent and emotionally independent, and she doesn't need, she sees me and we're just totally good to go. We have fun, and she knows, oh, you're going to go do something. Hey, I get it.
Right.
My oldest daughter, she's completely, she's 20 years old. She's in college. She's doing her own thing. She's making things happen.
Stand you probably.
Actually,
or kids. Yeah, she's at that age.
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I was making a bad joke.
Yeah, it was really bad. My 18-year-old daughter, same thing. Like, she's on her own program. She, she'll text me and like, but I have a 16-year-old son. He's on his own program. He's fully self-functional, like self-supportive. They don't need me. And then the only one that's a little bit needy is my 10-year-old, because she's 10 and she's still a 10-year-old. So that's where I can focus my efforts because she's younger. Mm-hmm. So my point in saying all that is that through the years I balanced, I would just constantly balance and raise the kids where they are self-sufficient, where they aren't relying on me to do everything for them. My wife the same way. My wife's not relying on, my wife will handle stuff.
Right.
Whatever it is, she can handle it.
Yeah, you got to get a capable. People, that's one thing. If you pick an incapable wife, dude, that's going to be sheer hell.
And the most part of that capable is emotionally capable. Because when you end up with a spouse, whether it's the man or the woman, that relies on you to make them feel good emotionally, that's the one that will pick you apart. So you got to be careful. That one's a good one to look out for. So in the end of the day, I guess what I'm saying is you got to have balance. You got to build a strong structure. And the point I was going to say with this guy is Jace, while you're investing in your family, you're building them. You're making your family stronger so that they can stand on their own, so that in the long run, you have more freedom in your life because you won't have this family unit that's totally relying on you for every little thing.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, makes them better off in the world. When they grow up, they go out and they dominate the world because they're capable.
Yeah. Damn, dude. Yeah, I don't think anybody taught me shit growing up, dude. I don't know if I know
what about
more.
Didn't you learn a lot of stuff from Daniel?
Oh, dude, Daniel was a fucking bad influence, dude. He was drinking hot hose water, bro. First sip.
Oh, no, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I heard you talking on a podcast about how, like, your first girl is sort of like the hot hose water. And I was thinking, well, that doesn't really make any sense. And then I realized it does, because here's what happens with the hot hose water. When you first start drinking it, it's all hot and uncomfortable. Yeah. But then all of a sudden you get to the cold part and you're like, oh yeah. So it's the same thing with your first girl. You're kind of like awkward. It's all like doesn't taste good. And all of a sudden you get kind of through that to the coldness and you're like, okay, this is good. So yeah, you do remember that first hose pipe.
Yeah.
Hitter.
Wow, Jocko's loving that hitter, man. That's good, man. Dude, one of my first girlfriends had real short hair, dude, and she looked like a young man, you know? Yeah. And I don't know if I really wanted to be her boyfriend, but I don't know if I had a choice.
Yeah, you were just
pawn. Oh, bro. She used to, when the school bus would come, it would bring my brother and his friends from the bigger school, and they'd pick us up after. She would pick me up and start making out with me. Bro, it was so fucking embarrassing. And sometimes I would wrap my legs around her. I didn't know what else to do, bro. And they would fucking call us all kind of names and shit.
How old was she compared to you?
Man.
Like 27?
Yeah, I don't even know if she went to our school. It could have been a woman. But God, man, that was fucking, everybody has their Vietnam, you know? That shit was insane, man. Let's pick one more going for Jocko, Nick.
All right. One quick Patreon, and then we'll end on a video question. This is from Jacob Wells. What war movie or TV show is the most realistic based on his combat experiences?
Oh, that's great. And Jacob Wells, I actually know him, and he's from, he has like 9 brothers and sisters, and I've met him at a group of shows from Oklahoma.
He should have a podcast. He asks great questions. Like almost every week I want to pick his question. But
a really neat guy. Yeah, so what's the...
There's a HBO miniseries. There's 2 of them. One of them's called Band of Brothers, which you may or may not have seen. It's about the European theater. It's about the 1st of 506 or the 2nd of 506 Battalion and fighting in Easy Company. It's fantastic from a leadership perspective, from a tactical perspective. That one's awesome. And then they made, a few years later, they made one for the Pacific Theater, which is called The Pacific. And it's based on several books, which are outstanding books. I've covered all the books that series is based on my podcast. It's called The Pacific. It's about the Pacific Island Campaign. And the first time I watched it, I remember I was on a plane and I had like the noise canceling headsets on and I was staring at like my iPad.
Was it a C-130?
No. I was in the civilian. I was already a civilian. Okay. So I was staring at this thing, 4 inches from my face. So I was super absorbed in it. And what they did in that, what makes me always remember how impactful that series was to me was they land on this island and you're expecting this big crazy battle to break out, but it doesn't. And so it's showing them patrolling through the jungle. They're patrolling, basically looking for the Japanese. And the Japanese, had decided.
Is it Iwo Jima or no?
No. Yeah, they had decided that they were going to let the Americans land and then hit them. So these scenes where they're just patrolling through the jungle, and you know that they're waiting. You're waiting for the enemy to attack. And when my last deployment to Iraq, I was in this place called Ramadi. And when you would walk down the streets, or I'd be watching my guys walk down the streets, or watching some soldiers, or watching some Marines, and the whole time you're watching, you're waiting. You're just waiting for the enemy to attack, and you're waiting for bullets to come down the street. Oh. And so I had that same kind of anxiety. And that's when I realized how powerful that miniseries is. So those 2 are great, and those are probably my favorite war. I don't want to call them movies, but they're scenes or it's a miniseries. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah, I can really imagine that if it can take somebody like you kind of to that place with that tension. It's so interesting. It's like, yeah, combat is one thing, but the energy before something happens sometimes is so severe. Knowing someone's intent, knowing someone else kind of knows that intent, but they don't really know where the intersection is going to occur. Just that kind of milling around.
Yeah, and like we just talked to Will, the anticipation of something is always worse.
Yeah.
And so when you know that it was coming, and when you were on patrol in Ramadi, you knew it was coming. And so it's just that anticipation. And from a leadership perspective, my biggest fear was always, one of my guys is going to get hit. And it's a sickening feeling in your gut, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you do everything you can to mitigate risk, but you just, and I had that same feeling watching the scenes from the Pacific where they're patrolling through the jungle.
If a guy gets hit, do they look at you then?
It depends on the situation.
Right.
It depends on the situation. That whoever that leader is in that moment is going to step up, make calls, make things happen. It might be the youngest guy. Depends who's there.
Was there ever a moment where you had ordered guys into a certain situation and something happened and you're like, and it fell on you kind of, or the guy looked at you even after he'd been hit?
So the weird thing about special operations for us on that deployment was every mission that we did was a mission that I had said, yes, we should do this.
Okay.
So that's every one of these situations where one of my guys got wounded or one of my guys got killed, it's 100% on me. I mean,
Right.
It's 100% because I'm the one that's approving the plan. I'm the one that's saying, yes, this is what we're going to do. And that's one of the different types of stress that you get in special operations, because in a conventional unit, generally, not always, but they're getting a little bit more tasking from higher. Hey, here's what you guys are going to do. You can figure out how you want to do it, but this is what you're going to do. No one was really tasking me most of the time. It was my guys coming up with plans. Hey, this is what we think we should do, and me saying, yeah, it's a good plan. So, yeah, that's something that
And you're right there with them. You're not like in a golf cart or something.
It depends on the situation. I mean, I had basically 40 SEALs. Sometimes they were in elements as small as 5 guys, and they'd be out there. Sometimes I have 3 or 4 elements out on the battlefield at the same time. I would be back in a tactical operations center. Sometimes I'd go, if it was a big, giant kind of combined operation where we were working with a lot of different units, I'd go out with them. Sometimes I'd go out with them just to go out with them. But sometimes most of the time, the best place for me to control what was happening was in a tactical operations center. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's one of those things that as a leader, I mean, you're ultimately responsible for everything that happens, and that's a heavy burden to bear, and it's one that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life, and it's one that I wake up with every single day, and I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about that burden. In fact, to me, that burden is a reminder of the guys that made the ultimate sacrifice, and I'm honored to have had the experience of serving with them.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I can't imagine just the camaraderie, the repercussions of such severe camaraderie as going to war with people. You know, it's something that I couldn't even imagine. You know, it's not something that I could even recreate emotionally or inside of my own brain. Really, you know, it's pretty fascinating because it's so severe. Mm-hmm. It's just there's such a finality. Your finality is right there on the line. You know.
Yeah, and you develop the strongest brotherhood with the people you're on the battlefield with, and we were working with alongside soldiers and Marines all the time, and the relationships that we developed with them. You know, every time someone gets, which in Ramadi there was guys getting wounded and killed every day. Jeez. You know, and you're going to their memorial services and you're seeing the angel flights, which they call them, which is when they take their bodies out on their last helicopter ride home. And yeah, it's very severe, and it's one of those things that, I mean, there's nothing else will ever compare with all that. There's just nothing in life will impact me as much, leave me with as much pride, and at the same time as much sorrow as those days for me. And that's the way most guys end up feeling about being in the military and going overseas on deployment.
Going through experiences like that where people are losing their lives and people are losing their abilities and their capabilities in war and in combat, has it adjusted your faith at all over the years, or has it affected that at all, or has it created it, or
The biggest thing is, from what I've seen, right? When you're in war, you get to see the absolute best in human beings, and you get to see the absolute worst in human beings. I mean, we saw unspeakable evil right? So if you want to talk about Satan, you want to talk about pure evil, when you go to war, you get to see it. When you face an enemy like the insurgents in the Battle of Ramadi that were doing the most heinous things that you can imagine, then you realize that evil absolutely exists. And whatever you want to attach that to, you can do it because it's there. And at the same time, you also get to see humanity that's making sacrifices above and beyond anything that a normal human being would do. Pure good. And so from a faith perspective, what you get to see with your own eyes is evil, pure evil, and you get to see pure good. And that, I think that leaves an impact on everybody, and definitely left a mark on me for sure.
What you got, Nick? The last video?
Sure. Let's do a super quick one. That will be a really quick answer just because I'm curious as well, and then end on a one that he can expand on, actually.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, Theo? This question's for Jocko. I was wondering what your best powerlifting numbers were ever and what your powerlifting numbers are currently.
Damn. Dang, this guy's trying to be your chef or something. This guy's trying to spot you.
My traditional answer when people ask me what kind of weights I'm lifting is not enough.
Damn.
Because you're always trying to get better and trying to get stronger.
Oh yeah, of course you are.
Yeah, well, at least I am. So, let's see. I think the most I've ever deadlifted. That this is another big. You're asking me what people think when they meet me.
Oh, people must ask us this all the time.
No, they ask all this all the time. They also think that I'm some superhuman athlete, which I'm not. I'm not. And I've explained this over and over again. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the strongest. I wasn't I'm not this super athlete. And I explain that to people all the time. Even in jiu-jitsu, people are like, oh, that guy could never get tapped out. Come to my gym, watch me get tapped out. It's the reality of it, you know? But yeah, to try and answer this guy's question without avoiding the question or whatever, I hardly
be honest, Jocko.
Yeah.
I've had 2 cans of this now.
I hardly ever bench press anymore because I don't like.
Yeah, because you're an adult. Yeah.
Well, I don't like what it does to my shoulders.
Yeah.
I know deadlift. The most I've ever deadlift is 500. Jesus. Which is it's not. That's
I've done 5. I know.
Yeah, that's. I don't know what I'd be deadlifting today. Even though I deadlift on the regular, know, but I'll do. Yeah, you know what it's like.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah.
Squat is another one. This is one of those ones where from a powerlifting perspective, I don't know what the actual number would be because when I squat, I go all the way down into the hole.
Okay,
and
so
all
you
this
really do it.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying that. It's just that's what I do.
Right.
I don't even know what my numbers would be right now.
Would you have 3 plates on each side? You think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I used to do 2.5 plates.
That's 315. But yeah, dude, to answer your question, I'm not some super strong dude. You're probably strong. If you're a powerlifter, you're stronger than me.
I'm not.
Not you.
Yeah.
I know that.
Okay,
Even if you were a powerlifter, you would be stronger than me.
Yeah, well, dude, you never know, bro. You know what I'm saying? You think you could take me in a minute, bro, if I'm in a fucking slick suit, bro.
I'm trying to think of what the most I benched ever was. It's not some huge number. It's funny, when I was at SEAL Team 2, there was a guy in my platoon who was this old short guy. Mm-hmm. He looked kind of chubby. Mm-hmm. And I actually went through SEAL training with him. And he could run faster than me, and he could bench more than me. Wow. Yeah, and he was a great guy. He's a great SEAL. But if you looked at the two of us, you'd be like, oh yeah, Jocko could crush this guy. No, he could run faster than me and bench more than me. Do
you think at some point it comes down to this, there's something different in certain people's muscles, the way their bodies are built? For
sure. You heard of fast twitch muscle and slow twitch muscle. There's another kind of muscle called medium twitch muscle.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I have.
My muscle, I know, likes to watch cold case files. I've definitely noticed that, bro.
I have a lot of what's called medium twitch muscle. So if I put a rucksack on, I can go for a long time and not get tired. I pretty much run with that. But I would lose in a marathon, right? And I would lose in a sprint. But if you put me with a rucksack on, I can go for a really long time. It's good for grappling. Not wrestling, because wrestling's super explosive.
Yeah.
But for jiu-jitsu, for a long, like you want to roll for 40 minutes, I'm good, and I'll stay steady that whole time.
What professional wrestler did you ever see and you're like, oh yeah, I'm like that guy?
You know, I never really got that into wrestling.
Yeah.
Into professional wrestling. If you threw some names out, I might be able to remember one or two. I met Hulk Hogan one time.
You did?
He was large.
Was he?
Yeah, he's big. I guess they all, you lose perspective when you see him on TV, but he was a really big guy. Yeah.
Dang, I think I think his daughter had a crush on me for a little bit, but I could be making that up. But here, this guy has a question.
Cool.
Jocko, Theo, first things first, this stuff is amazing.
Oh, wow, it is good.
Question is, if a guy is upper 20s, early 30s, is it even worth considering enlisting and contributing to eventually the NCO Corps? Or would you recommend every time to go the officer route? And to make this a little bit more broad of a question for the general audience, how would you apply this question to a generic entry-level position at a large organization that's been established for a long time, or trying to just go in straight to a management position?
Do you understand that question, Theo? I do, but I want to make sure that you do.
I guess he means, no, I don't.
Okay, so in the military, there's basically two, it's like a caste system.
Okay.
Right? There's officers.
Yep.
And there's enlisted people. Officers are like the prescribed leaders.
Okay.
And there's enlisted people, which are the prescribed grunts.
Okay.
Now, within the grunts, there's a rank structure, and you can advance up that rank structure on the enlisted side. On the officer side, the same thing. You advance as you go forward.
Like E8, E4, E3.
Yeah, that's the enlisted side.
Okay. Yeah,
so you start off as an E1.
Yeah.
And then you go up through E10, E9.
I'd be an Ewok, I think.
Yeah, for a while.
I'd be doing bad.
The officers, same thing. Now, the only difference between these two people is the officers went to college. That's what happens. So if you go to college, you can go in as an officer. It's not guaranteed, but you can go as an officer. What I did, I started off enlisted, and I got picked up for this awesome program and got moved over to the officer side. So I got to do both. So his question is, he's a little bit older. Should he try and become an officer? Or if that doesn't work, or should he go enlisted? Maybe not if it doesn't work, because I was going to say, here's what you should do. You're older, you got some experience in life. If you can, try and become an officer, that's fine. If you can't, because it's more selective to become an officer immediately, go into the enlisted situation. The other question that people ask me a lot when they're 29, 30 years old, they got a life, they got a family, they got a job, but all of a sudden they wake up one day and say, man, I don't feel like I've sacrificed, I don't feel like I've given enough to the country. I want to do something.
Yeah, I remember asking you that last time we were on.
Yeah, and I probably gave the same answer, which is check out the reserves. Go in the National Guard, go in the Army Reserves, go in the Marine Corps, go in the reserves. So where you do 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summertime. Now, you have to remember that you could get called up. When we got to the Battle of Ramadi, that whole area was controlled by reservists from, guys that were in the National Guard. It was a National Guard unit out of Pennsylvania. They were total studs, and they were there for 14 months, I think, fighting. So, these guys were teachers and plumbers and electricians and whatever, and all of a sudden they were there
Sculptors,
fighting.
Yeah.
So it can really happen. You can't just think, oh, it'll never happen. No, it can absolutely happen. But I think that's a good thing to do. And as far as which one you should go into, I mean, I loved the fact that I went in as a grunt.
Right.
And came up and learned.
Right, there's something romantic about that kind of.
Yeah, there's just
in a weird way.
I guess if you're weird, but
yeah, I am.
But there's also some factual things, right? You learn what it's like. You learn from the front lines what it's like to be a grunt. So now when you get moved over to the officer, you can at least you have the experience and you understand it. But that being said, there's great people. That's called a prior enlisted officer. There's some prior enlisted officers that are awesome because they have that experience. There's also some prior enlisted officers that are just as bad as any other officer. And there's officers that never were enlisted that are fantastic. It really boils down to you and your personality and your leadership capabilities. That's what's going to make you good or not the experience you have. Just like, there's some colleges like the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy or West Point.
Citadel,
you go to 4 years learning how to be a military man. or a military woman. And you might think, and I know I thought this, I thought, man, those guys are going to be so good because they have all this knowledge. Mm-hmm. It's not true. There were some great ones. There's also some bad ones. There were some great guys that went to 13 weeks of officer candidate school and then were an officer, and they were awesome. Some of them were not awesome. So what really matters is what you bring to the table. That's what matters the most.
I remember the ROTC kids, they used to just they all bought race cars and used to race them out back of the school and everything. And then, they, half of them didn't do shit, I don't think. But do you think if we
that was a dead end if there ever was one?
Yeah, bro. Tell me about it, dude.
I mean, not just their personalities, but that whole story.
Oh, yeah.
It like kind of sunk my heart a little bit. I expected it to go somewhere, and then it just went to silence, and we were good.
Too.
Yeah.
Me too, man.
Yeah, that's one of those things you scratch off the list of things to talk about.
Dude, look, trust me. When I put that idea in the first gear, I was ready to move it to second.
It sounded good out of the gate, but man, went downhill quick.
If we fought aliens, or when we fight aliens,
or robots,
do you think we will have a chance?
Yes.
Would you
wait? Robots or I threw robots out there because people are always asking me about the robot wars.
I think robots. Yeah, I just hope there's no I think robots will be fine. I could beat up a fucking microwave. You know what I'm saying, dude? I'll beat the shit out of a toaster with a bat. But what I'm saying is this, especially if I had fucking a can and a half of go right now, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'll fucking start a Hyundai right now. But what I'm saying is this, aliens. If aliens come, would you re-enlist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who would you take in a battle with you? It's like that movie Armageddon. You got to take 5 people into battle with you.
Oh, I got a list of guys. Yeah.
Okay, we'll rattle off a couple, sir.
Well, I can't because they're,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're working.
Oh, okay, I see. So we can't use their names because they're working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, most of them.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, let's say then
I had a guy. Have had a guy on my podcast a couple times. His name is Tony Efrati, and him and I grew up in the SEAL teams together, and then he was one of the platoon chiefs over in Ramadi with me. And I actually started off the podcast saying, hey, if there's a list, everyone has a list of guys that, hey, if it goes down, I'm bringing him. Tony's one of the guys.
Tony's in.
He would be out on like a 5-day operation in 120-degree heat, and he'd bring nothing with him but a can of Copenhagen and like a little half-liter bottle of water.
Oh, that sounds like doing cocaine out in Vegas.
No factor. No factor at all.
And no qualms about it at all.
No qualms at all.
Wow, making Copenhagen soup.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, there's a bunch of guys like that, man. There's a bunch of just guys that are that's what they're born to do, man. That's what they're born to do.
From the Jocko Podcast, man, thank you so much, bro.
Thanks
for coming in, dude. It's so awesome, man, because sometimes life is like you never know kind of what you need, and then life kind of like gives you, it just kind of where you are is where you're supposed to be, It's like sometimes you don't realize that, but I appreciate you being here today, man. Thank you so much, dude.
Thanks for having me out, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it in my bones, but it's gonna take a little time for me to set that parking brake and let myself unwind. Shine.